The cafe was nearly empty when Sarah's phone buzzed for the third time. She glanced at the screen, her heart sinking as she read the message. Sorry, can't make it. Something came up. No explanation, no apology that felt real. Just another man who'd taken one look at her profile, seen the words single mom, and decided she wasn't worth the effort. She sat there for a moment, staring at her untouched latte, feeling the familiar sting of rejection mixed with embarrassment. The waitress had already walked by twice, offering sympathetic smiles that made everything worse. Sarah had left her 6-year-old daughter, Emma, with her elderly neighbor, Mrs. Chen, for this. She'd actually put on makeup, worn her one good dress, and let herself hope that maybe, just maybe, this time would be different. What a fool she'd been. As she reached for her purse, ready to escape before the tears could fall, chaos erupted at the cafe entrance. 4 identical children, no more than 5 years old, burst through the door like a whirlwind of energy and laughter. They were beautiful kids with dark curls and bright eyes, but they were also clearly on a mission to explore every inch of the establishment immediately. Behind them strode a man who could only be their father. Tall, with graying temples and an expensive suit that screamed success, he looked equal parts exhausted and overwhelmed. He was juggling 4 backpacks, a stuffed dinosaur, and what appeared to be a science project made of popsicle sticks that was rapidly falling apart. "Olivia, no climbing," he called out as one of the girls made a beeline for a bookshelf. "Mason, we use indoor voices. Harper, that's someone else's table. And Ethan, buddy, please don't put that in your mouth. We don't know where it's been." Sarah couldn't help but smile despite her misery. The scene was pandemonium, but there was something endearing about this clearly wealthy man who looked like he'd been through a war zone. His tie was askew. There was what looked like finger paint on his collar, and one of his shoes was untied. One of the children, the girl called Harper, suddenly broke away from her siblings and ran directly to Sarah's table. She stopped, tilted her head, and studied Sarah with the intense, unfiltered curiosity only a 5-year-old could muster. "Why are you sad?" Harper asked simply. The question, so direct and innocent, caught Sarah completely off guard. "I'm not sad," she lied, then immediately felt guilty for lying to a child. "Yes, you are. You have sad eyes. My daddy gets sad eyes sometimes, too." Harper climbed into the chair across from Sarah without invitation. "He says it's okay to be sad sometimes. He says my mommy is in heaven and we can be sad about that." Sarah's heart clenched. "I'm very sorry about your mommy." "It's okay. It was a long time ago. 2 whole years. Harper held up 2 fingers proudly. "Do you have kids?" "I do. A daughter named Emma. She's 6. "I'm 5! Almost 6, though. Does Emma like dinosaurs?" "Ethan loves dinosaurs. He knows all their names, even the hard ones." By now, the harried father had made his way over, looking mortified. "Harper, sweetheart, you can't just sit with strangers." "I'm so sorry, ma'am," he said to Sarah, and she noticed his eyes were a striking gray. Up close, she could see the exhaustion etched in his face, but also something else, a warmth, a gentleness that seemed at odds with his intimidating appearance. "It's fine, really," Sarah assured him. "She's delightful." "We're having a Daddy Day adventure," Harper announced. "Because our nanny quit. She said we were too much." The man, whose face had gone slightly red, let out a strangled laugh. "Harper, we don't need to share all the details of our life with—" He paused, looking at Sarah properly for the first time. "I really am sorry. It's been a challenging week, month, year, actually." Sarah found herself laughing, a real laugh that surprised her. "I understand challenging. I really do." The other 3 children had now gravitated towards Sarah's table, apparently deciding she was the most interesting thing in the cafe. They introduced themselves with the confidence of kids who'd never met a stranger. Mason, the apparent leader, Olivia, who immediately began telling Sarah about her ballet class, and Ethan, who was indeed clutching a plastic T-Rex. "I'm Alexander, but everyone calls me Alex," the father said, extending his hand. His grip was firm but gentle. "And you've met my chaos crew." "Sarah," she replied, "and honestly, they're wonderful. I remember when my Emma was this age. The energy is something else." Alex glanced at her table, noticing the single latte and the empty chair across from her. Something shifted in his expression, a flash of understanding. "Were you waiting for someone?" Sarah felt her cheeks flush. I was. Past tense. He's not coming. Then he's an idiot, Alex said bluntly, then looked surprised at his own boldness. I'm sorry, that was inappropriate. I don't know the situation. No, you're right, Sarah said, surprising herself with her honesty. He is an idiot. I'm a single mom, and apparently that's a deal breaker for a lot of people. Their loss, Alex said softly, and the sincerity in his voice made Sarah's throat tight. What happened next would change both their lives, though neither knew it yet. Ethan had wandered too close to the counter and reached for a glass display case, pulling it forward. Sarah saw it happening in slow motion, the case tipping, the expensive pastries inside sliding, and Ethan's small body directly in its path. She moved without thinking, lunging forward and sweeping Ethan into her arms while simultaneously pushing against the case. She felt the sharp edge catch her forearm, pain blooming hot and immediate, but she managed to steady the case before it crashed down. Ethan was safe, clutching his dinosaur and staring up at her with wide eyes. The cafe erupted in chaos. Alex was there instantly, taking Ethan from her arms while his other hand gently grasped Sarah's injured arm. Blood was seeping through her dress sleeve. Oh my God, Alex breathed. You saved him. You could have been seriously hurt. Is he okay? Sarah asked, ignoring her own injury. That's all that matters. The cafe manager rushed over with a first aid kit, but Alex had already taken charge. I'm calling my driver. We're taking you to the hospital. That needs stitches. I'm fine, Sarah protested, though she was starting to feel lightheaded. Really, I just need a bandage. Please, Alex said, and his eyes were bright with unshed tears. Please let me help you. You saved my son. You didn't hesitate, didn't think about yourself. You protected him like he was your own. Something in his voice broke through Sarah's protests. She nodded, and within minutes, they were in the back of a luxury sedan that probably cost more than Sarah's annual salary. The quadruplets, subdued now, sat quietly in their car seats, watching Sarah with solemn eyes. At the hospital, Alex refused to leave her side. He held Harper, who had insisted on coming into the examination room, while a doctor cleaned and stitched Sarah's wound. 8 stitches, the doctor said, but it would heal cleanly. I'm calling Emma, Sarah suddenly remembered, panic rising. Mrs. Chen will be worried. Use my phone, Alex offered. And please tell her we're covering the medical bills. I insist, as Sarah called her neighbor and then spoke briefly to Emma, explaining she'd had a small accident but was fine. She caught Alex watching her with an expression she couldn't quite read. After she hung up, he spoke quietly. The person who stood you up today? He missed out on meeting someone extraordinary. Someone who doesn't hesitate to help a stranger's child. Someone who clearly loves her daughter more than anything in the world. I could hear it in your voice just now. Sarah felt tears finally spill over. I'm so tired of people thinking that being a single mom makes me less somehow. Like, I'm damaged goods because my ex-husband decided fatherhood wasn't for him. You're not less, Alex said firmly. You're more. You're doing the work of 2 parents. You're showing your daughter what strength looks like. He paused, then added softly, my wife, she passed 2 years ago. Cancer. And raising these 4 alone, it's the hardest thing I've ever done. And I have resources most people don't. I have infinite respect for single parents. Sarah, infinite. They sat in silence for a moment, 2 wounded souls recognizing something in each other. Can I take you and Emma to dinner? Alex asked suddenly. Not a date, he added quickly, seeing her expression. I'd like my kids to properly thank the woman who saved their brother. And I'd like to repay you for your kindness. Sarah hesitated, then thought about Emma's face when she described the quadruplets, about the gentleness in Alex's eyes, about the fact that he'd called her extraordinary. Okay, she whispered. Dinner would be nice. 3 months later, Sarah stood in her small apartment, helping Emma get ready for another dinner with Alex and his kids. These dinners had become weekly events. Then twice weekly, and somewhere along the way, they'd stopped being about gratitude and started being about something deeper. Alex had been patient, never pushing, always respectful of her boundaries. He'd shown up for Emma's school play. He'd brought soup when Sarah caught the flu. He'd listened to her. Dreams of going back to school to finish her nursing degree, and had offered to help make it happen, not as charity, but as someone who believed in her. His children had adopted Sarah and Emma into their chaotic family with the easy acceptance of kids who recognized kindness when they saw it. Emma, who'd been shy and withdrawn after her father left, had blossomed with 4 new friends who thought she hung the moon. "Mommy," Emma said, interrupting her thoughts, "do you think Alex loves us?" Sarah knelt down, meeting her daughter's eyes. "I think Alex cares about us very much." "Why do you ask?" "Because I heard him tell Grandpa Chen that you saved more than Ethan that day. He said you saved all of them, that you gave them hope again." Emma paused. "I think you're both saving each other." Out of the mouths of babes, Sarah thought, pulling her daughter close. Maybe that man who'd stood her up had done her the greatest favor of her life. Maybe she'd needed to be alone in that cafe, heartbroken and vulnerable, to be in the right place at the right time. Maybe, she thought, as the doorbell rang and she heard the familiar chaos of quadruplets in the hallway. Maybe this was what fate looked like. Not a fairy tale, but something better, something real, built on sacrifice and kindness, and the courage to open your heart even after it's been broken. As she opened the door to Alex's smile and the children's enthusiastic greetings, Sarah realized she wasn't afraid anymore. She was ready. Ready to believe that she deserved good things. Ready to accept that being a single mom hadn't made her less. It had made her exactly who she needed to be to appreciate this moment. This man, this beautiful, complicated, perfectly imperfect second chance at happiness,